Here are 9 interior design mistakes that are making your home look 10 times cheaper, and I bet you probably have at least 4 of them in your home. This is your design daddy speaking. I'm an interior designer and we talk about all things design on this page. We're gonna start things off with violence today, which is probably one of the most controversial items that you can have in your home that always looks cheap, and it is the glass dining table and the glass coffee table. I'm gonna give you an extra charge if it's acrylic because it's even cheaper. The reason why these dining tables and coffee tables look so cheap in your space is because the proportions always feel off no matter what you pair them with. The last thing I wanna do at a dinner party is sit across from someone and see their toes and their crotch. I mean, unless you're into that, which I mean, get off the internet, people, because there's some wild things on there. Not that I've searched those myself, but just to be warned, I'm not into that and I don't wanna be staring at that while I'm having dinner. If you've been following me for a while, you know I've always discussed this topic, but apparently you all need a reminder, and it is the incorrect rug size. If one is too small, it looks like a dog bed. And if it's too big, you honestly might as well have wall-to-wall carpet. Neither look good in your space. The perfect rug size is going to float in your room, ground the space, zone the area, especially if you're in an open concept, but you're also going to want all of the front legs of the furniture sitting on the rug so it pools around the space. The purpose of a rug is to make this space feel grounded. The last thing I want to see walking into someone's space is all the furniture just floating in an open concept and it looks like you're walking into a furniture store that really does nothing for your space. I personally am not a fan of curtains, but if you are going to use them, you need to be using them correctly, because this is another thing that a lot of people get incorrect. If your curtains are too short, it looks like you're preparing for a rug. And when I reference that, I'm talking about the curtains that only go down to just under the sill. The only time, and I mean the only time those are going to work, is if you have a radiator under them. And even then, I would prefer a roller blind because it's a much cleaner look. Another really important factor to consider on your curtains is having enough length on each side of the window. If the walls are not proportionate to give you enough space on each side, those curtains are now blocking off all of the light that's coming in from both sides itself. I always recommend having at least 10 to 16 inches on each side for overflow of those windows so the curtains don't block the natural light coming in when they're fully open. Depending on your ceiling height, this is also another consideration that you need to have with curtains, is how high they are going to be placed. If you have a flat ceiling, you're going to want 4 to 5 inches in space on that ceiling for where your curtains land. This is going to expand the space so your eye travels up, visually making the space look taller than it is. This is also a really great trick if you have short ceilings to really emphasize that height to make the space feel bigger. And I know some people in the comments are going to be like, hey Phoenix, what about an angled ceiling? What if we have a gable roof? Solution for that. You're still going to pick the highest point on that roof line that connects with the gable. So if the gable's coming across like this, you're going to want it to come up and intersect at the highest point before proportionally going too far over to the right. If there's any reason why I will leave your home as an interior designer, it will be if you have the incorrect color temperature. Now this is very specific and I talk about this all the time. We talk about layered lighting, but color temperature makes a difference. It is going to make or break your space. My personal recommendation that always look good in any space is 2700 Kelvin throughout your entire home and 3000 Kelvin for task areas like your kitchen and your bathroom if you're doing makeup application. Now I can already read these comments before they are even written. Is Phoenix, you're gonna put 2700 Kelvin in your home? It looks too yellow. Oh my God, people, get with it. The circadian rhythm that your body naturally flows with sunlight during the day at night is so important to your body actually producing melatonin so you can sleep at night. We are not walking into a dental office where you are doing surgery. The blue light in those higher Kelvin temperature ratings leach all the color and warmth out of your finishes in your space. This is so important because it's really going to destroy any sense of warmth and coziness you're trying to create. Another bonus point is if you have multiple bulbs in an area where you're seeing them at the same time, by God, make sure they are the same color temperature. We just went into the hardware store the other day and we were looking for light fixtures. Shocking, they were all terrible. What made it even worse is that they had a different bulb in every single fixture itself. You want that same color temperature so you have the consistency of the rooms. If you have multiple bulbs and you have different color temperatures in, jail immediately. I'd like to thank Article for sponsoring today's video. If you haven't heard of Article before, it is one of my secrets when it comes to sourcing for furniture for clients. I even have a few pieces myself, mind you. If you're looking for storage pieces for your new home, look no further because Article has got you covered. I love mixing and matching open and closed storage, especially when it comes to either credenzas or bookshelves, because that's how you're going to express yourself in any space. But you also need closed off storage so you can actually hide things away so it doesn't look super cluttered. The Torme is one of my favorite bookshelves. I actually have one in my office. I have it without the closed storage, but you can get one with the closed storage so you have the cabinets below. The Crosa storage bundle is another great option if you're looking for a piece that really adds some personality into your space, but also allows you to have those personal items closed off, because at the end of the day, we have so many items, and having that option for closed and open storage, in my opinion, is always going to be beneficial in any room. What I love about Article are their finish options. You're not subjected to a single finish in terms of the wood grain you're looking for. You can get a white oak or a walnut, which in my opinion is so versatile for any space, and it really takes away a lot of the guesswork when it comes to finding something that works in your home. My secret to using different wood tones or species in your home is going off your wood flooring. If you have light flooring, go with light millwork or decor pieces. If you have dark flooring, bring in those walnut finishes as well to have that continuity of floor continuing to base pieces around the perimeter of your room. And honestly, you cannot beat the prices that Article has because furniture is expensive these days. Speaking of which, if you click the link in my description box below or scan the QR code on the screen, you can get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. For the longest time, people have thought that matching furniture sets have been the ideal. They're a quick, easy to go match. Everything feels simple. Everything feels cohesive. That is the farthest thing from the truth. And as an interior designer, I can tell you, if you have a matching furniture set, call me immediately because you need some help. You know that I'm always one to preach a sense of repetition in a space, but matching furniture sets, whether it's your cushions, the sofa, the chair, the headboard, the armoire, the nightstands, not every piece needs to be the exact same. Creating a sense of repetition allows your eyes to carry through the space to give it dimension. If it's the exact same finish, that's flat, that carries you from one point to another, it's not giving you the same effect. A great design space is always going to have a sense of dimension and depth, and also contrast that feels cohesive through the rest of it. A balance of both light and dark, whether it's paint or wood, is going to create that sense of repetition and rhythm without the matching furniture sets. Now that we're halfway through, you're gonna have to let me know in the comments. Are you 5 for 5 of making these design mistakes and do you need to go to design jail, or are you Design Daddy approved? This is another mistake that's probably going to make your space look cheapest out of all, and it is choosing the incorrect paint color. And when I talk about paint color, I'm not talking about all your different colors and different variations. I'm talking about understanding what paint color works best for your geographical location. Because depending on which direction your windows are facing, this is going to change any paint color no matter what you choose. If you are south facing, you get even light throughout the day, but it's going to be very, very warm, which means you want a cool or a neutral warm or undertone to really make that space and the color feel consistent, but also match the color that you're looking for. If you are north facing, you are also going to get even light throughout the day, but it is going to be very cool. This is where you bring in, once again, a neutral or a warm undertone so that color feels right throughout the entire day. If you are east facing, you are going to get very hot and warm light during the morning with the sunrise. This is where you want a cool or a neutral, but keep in mind, this is also going to change because during the evening and afternoon, this is where the light changes to a much cooler tone. So if you're okay with it sticking to a cool tone itself, stay cool. Otherwise, keep a warm or a neutral undertone. And now lastly, if you are facing west, you get very cool light in the morning and hot light in the evening as the sun sets. This is going to be vice versa for your east facing views. So you're going to want, once again, a cool or a warm neutral. This is going to be perfect because once again, that color is going to remain consistent for a majority of the day. I know I've said all of these are tragic, but one of the biggest mistakes that you are investing the most money in that is going to remain the same in your house is the flooring. Flooring is the biggest investment in your home, and if you make that mistake, nothing is going to make it any better. When you're picking out your flooring, the common misconception is looking at a single sample. You're gonna look at a piece that is this big, and as beautiful as that sample can be, you're not seeing the full picture. Depending on what flooring you're going with, whether it's an LVL, an engineered, or even a hardwood, that individual sample is not going to give you the full picture of how it's going to be installed. Is it wire brush? How many variations of color in it? Does it have a stripe pattern in it? How many different prints are on those panels. That is going to determine how the overall look is going to be on the install. So if you can, always look at multiple planks together. That's going to give you the best interpretation of what that install is going to look like. And even better, if you have full install pictures of what this looks like as well, it's going to give you a much better visual of understanding if it works or if it's not going to work in your space. One of the biggest mistakes people make is picking off that one sample because it looks so beautiful. And when they install it, they see that there are knots everywhere. That breaks up the variation of how beautiful that flooring could be. Another challenge is finding the right pre-treated floor. You can get a raw finish and stain it yourself, but if you are looking for a pre-treated stained finished flooring, which is usually my go-to, you need to make sure that all of those palettes that you're purchasing are done in the same color dye lot. If they are not, you're going to run into some inconsistencies of that color, which may not be as natural and have that same flow all the way throughout. As a certified giant of 6'4", it is my understanding that a lot of people are also hanging their art and open shelves incorrectly in your space. The standard has always been to set it at average height, which means from the floor to the middle of any picture should be anywhere between 55 and 60 inches in height. Depending on the scale of the art or whatever you're putting on that wall, that's usually going to be a pretty good standard. But there are a lot of considerations that can either make it look good or bad. Whenever I'm hanging art in a client's home, I want to make sure that the art is for them. This is their home. They're the one in it 99% of the time over guests. I want to make sure that their eye level is considered in everything that's being installed, including wall sconces. That's another bonus point for you. This is one of the few rules that I also break depending on where it's hung, because some of your art is going to be over top of your headboard. Your headboard is much higher in consideration. Some people want an art piece over a console or over top of their sofa. These rules come down to the spacing and the proportion of the wall itself. If you're hanging anything above a headboard or a couch, usually you're limited in the ceiling height above. So you want that centered between the top area of the ceiling and the top of the actual sofa itself. You generally want between 6 and 8 inches of space above the headboard or the sofa itself for it to look proportional in the room. A weak design space is a cluttered space. The last thing I want to do is walk into any space and see absolutely everything. It is visual clutter, it is visual overload, and honestly, this is probably the biggest one that can make any space look really bad no matter how expensive it can look. Organization is key. A tidy space always looks expensive no matter what budget you're on. The more visual noise you have in a space increases the amount of clutter, which naturally reduces how you're perceiving the space. If I'm walking in and I see piles of clothes everywhere, it immediately looks bad. But if you go into a bedroom, everything is clean, tidy, put away. And bonus points, if you have somewhere where you can stash all of your dirty clothes instead of just laying it on top of your bed, throwing it on the floor or that chair in the corner that no one touches, this is how you make your space look great. Now, I know all of you need as much help as you possibly can. That's why you're on my channel. That's why Design Daddy is here. So please let me know in the comments if there's any other particular video concept that you need me to discuss to make your space look expensive. Now, I could make an individual video on every single one of these mistakes and probably talk for hours about them. So let me know in the comments which offenses you have done and how Design Daddy is going to help you. And if you're ever second guessing yourself, just ask, what would Design Daddy do?